Hi again, everybody. This is olliemathews, and this is my next video on my channel related to recovery from narcissistic abuse. You know, a question I get asked a lot, and it's something that's rattled around in my head for a long time, is how is it that it seems like everybody I associate with, or most people I associate with, whether it be work or family or friends, end up being narcissists? And how could that be? And is it that maybe you get to that, well, maybe it's me, maybe I'm the problem? And I've thought that many times. Well, I must be the problem, must be me, because how could it be everyone else? Well, it's not you, it's not me, it's not you, it is them. And why is it them? Now, if it was just everybody you meet as you walk down the street, that would be one thing, but the people you're talking about are the people who are directly in your life. And what you need to realize is the reason they're in your life is because you're susceptible to narcissists. Just like I'm susceptible to narcissists. And I'll tell you how I got down this path of how I continued the cycle in my life. You know, as I talked about in earlier videos, I kept myself a blank slate. I didn't think about much. I didn't do much, because everything that I would have done or would have been used against me, I would have been humiliated with it. You know, it was always that fear of humiliation from my parents. So I had no hopes, no dream, like no anything really. I had no posters on my wall. I put nothing up of girls or anything, and I liked girls, but if I put up a poster of a girl on I had to ask her, and my mother would have been like, ooh, who's she? You know, and I already got her on the refrigerator, half naked on, so like and I don't want to delve into that again. I've talked that up to death. But I'll tell you how I got to where I made my biggest life decision. I was 13 years old, and I was a freshman in high school because I had started early. And they had a career day. And I was like, and I'm in a panic. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, I gotta go figure out what I want to be, and like, what am I gonna tell my parents? And no matter what I tell them, they're gonna say either it's stupid, or they're gonna make fun of me, or they're gonna use, no matter what it is. I could have said I wanted to be a doctor, and they would have found a way to embarrass me about it, because that's just what they do. So, as I'm walking by one of the classrooms, there's a cop in there, career day, in uniform. And when I looked at the cop, I thought of my father. And for some reason, well, not for some reason, my father respects cops. He's afraid of cops. I think he's jealous of cops because he admires the power they have to just throw people in jail arbitrarily. So, in my mind, I'm like, I'll go be a cop, because then he'll leave me alone. I'll have some respect. I'll be able to protect myself from this guy. Well, this is perfect. I'll just go be a cop. And I won't tell them. Well, I don't even remember how, but somehow they found out I was in that class, and they started calling me in front of everybody. Oh, here comes Officer Matt, Officer Matt. I had 13, like I had enough problems at that time. Stop drawing attention to me. I wanted to know. And they would yell it out, and they would tell and they would start having their friends. And it wasn't in a nice way. It was always in a mocking way. It was horrible, but like I could see it in my father's eyes. Like, I'm like, yeah, I'll be a cop. And I could see it in my father's eyes. He's like, huh. He wasn't sure what to expect, what to think. So that's how I kind of went through the rest of high school and went into college with this goal of being a cop. Now, never mind the fact I never liked cops. I always thought they were a bunch of douchebags. But I went down this road anyway. So when I went to college, and I hated college, but I did well in the criminal justice classes, I took criminal justice. And I figured out really quick, I really don't want to be a cop. I really don't. And I really don't want to go to school. And I really was unprepared for college because I shouldn't have been one to go. I don't know what I should have done, really, to be honest with you. That's a conversation for another video on how I ended up, how my high school or how my whole grammar, they had you either went to college or you were a loser in their eyes. There was nothing else you could do. So I've already talked ad nauseum, I think, but I'll do another video on that because I need to. So I was working for ShopRite at the time as a supermarket. So then I decided to go into like security. I didn't want to do college anymore, so I'm like, I'll go work full time for security, but I'll still try to take police tests and whatever, and like I was still gonna go through it. I just couldn't deal with the school anymore. So after ShopRite, because that was going nowhere and there were a bunch of losers, I actually caught on. I went to Macy's, which is actually the company my father worked for. And I did real well with Macy's. And once I got into Macy's, I realized, you know what? I don't want to be a cop, because at the time when I got in was 1996. You know, we were doing some fun stuff. We were doing real types of investigations. We were working with all types of federal agencies. You know, and we were doing cool shit at the time. So I liked it. And I planned to stay with it. And then, you see, like I did this stuff and I was decent at it, but my heart wasn't really in it. My heart was in it only to make money. And that's the wrong reason to do anything. And I was still having this psychological need, I guess, to fulfill something in my I guess maybe my father's eyes, or it's hard to explain. But you know, it became very clear, I'd say about 3-4 years in, that I didn't want to do this. So, but what I would do was, because I legitimately hate thieves. I mean, if there's two things in this world that I can't fucking stand, it's a thief and anybody who does anything to a child. I can't fucking stand it. So at the time, you know, I became an executive. I was making good money. We were doing real type of investigating. I mean, I've been interrogating people. I spent 20 years interrogating people for a living. I'm a real good interrogator. I'm real good. I'm nearly impossible to lie to and get away with it. It's different when you have an emotional attachment. Like, those same skills don't necessarily transfer over when you're dealing with a parent or a child, so that's why you can still be lied to. And I was still having these issues with my father, but every now and then, like, my parents would flare up and they would, like, get in my face, and it was like, it would just bring on all this insecurity in my life. So what I would do then was focus on my job. And I was a son of a bitch at work. I mean, I was a son of a bitch. And God forbid you were a shoplifter and you raised your hands to me or put your hands on me. That was it. You were going, I would have you on the ground, eating the floor and in handcuffs so goddamn quick. And it was bad. And I never abused anybody or anything like that. But I had this, I could feel this rage. And the weird thing is, well, I'll get to the weird thing. The company started changing, you know, just like any big corporation. You know, they just kept adding layers and layers and layers and layers of middle management. Nothing gets done. Long story short, the whole fucking thing falls apart, you know. The company's a mess. Loss prevention in that company's a mess. To the point now that they're constantly in the news for being racist, for racial profiling. And the sad thing is, they don't racially profile. They never have. Just the people running the place are completely fucking incompetent. The guy who runs the group vice president for loss prevention and security is a nice guy. He's been worried. He's had that job now. He's been in that job since 1997, but he never worked loss prevention a day in his life. He never did an investigation. He never caught a shot. He never did any of it. Yet he came in and he's incompetent. They're not racists. They're incompetent. And I would tell them these things over and over and over and in one ear, and they wouldn't listen. We'd go in one ear, out the other, in one ear and out the other. Till I finally got frustrated. And it got to a point where when I started, we were doing real investigations. We were doing real work. We were catching people who were actually stealing. The employees we interviewed and interrogated were actually stealing. What Macy's does now is, because they're all about just generating numbers and they're all about statistics. So what they do now is they'll hire somebody to come in, and security will meet this person. They'll call it a personal shop. They'll meet him outside and they'll give him an activated gift card and $50 cash and a receipt. And they go around and they go start picking on new employees and say, oh, I was shopping, I just found this on the floor. And then security watches on cameras to see if the person's going to bring it to lost and found or take it. Because it's easy. It's an easy stat. Meanwhile, they got internals in that, internal people stealing there $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. One of my last cases I got out of there was an employee who was ripping off fragrances, $62,000. And we had made internal arrests, hundreds of thousands of dollars, $500,000 cases. One of the cases we made was over $2 million where we went on raids with NYPD. Major stuff. And what the company became now is this, just worried about numbers, just catching as many people as you can just to say you did. And none of it meant anything. And that's not what I was about. And then what they started doing with the shoplifters was, there's a law in all these states where if you get caught shoplifting, the store can fine you. Civil demand. It's a civil lawsuit. It's supposed to go through excuse me, it's supposed to go through an attorney. You send it in, fine, whatever. What Macy's started having all their security personnel doing was, while we had the shoplifters sit there handcuffed or sitting in the jail cell, we try to get $150 out of them, or however much money you can get out of them. Right there when they're sitting on, and I wasn't having it. I'm like, A, I'm not a bill collector. B, I'm not judge, jury, and executioner. And C, this is going to get you into so much trouble. Because no matter what you say, okay, because we have them sign off that, yeah, even if I pay this, it has no bearing on whether or not I go to jail. None. Nobody's going to believe that. Anybody, if you got somebody handcuffed to a bench or sitting in a jail cell, and you're like, yeah, sign, they're going to think, well, if I give them this money, it's going to help. It doesn't help. It's shady, it's scummy, and I wanted no part of it. That's why it's a big reason why I left. But the point I was trying to make was, all this time I was working for this company, I would fight anybody. I'd go to the floor, I'd fight. But you know who I couldn't fight for? Myself. Because when push came to shove, when it came to fighting for me, I had no voice. I couldn't. But if it was something that was for the benefit of the company or I'd go to the fucking wall. But I have no voice to fight for myself. Now, why did I last there for 14 years? Well, I was decent at what I did. But because the industry is controlled by narcissists. It's not uncommon, and anybody who's worked any type of retail knows, retail's overrun with narcissists. It just is. It gives some people that didn't have a lot of power in their life. They go, they run a store, they do, then they think they play God in these department stores, and they're only running, they're selling socks and underwear, and they just take themselves way too seriously. My point being is, I ended up working at a company and living a life until I broke out of that at 35 years old. And even when I moved to Florida saying I would never work loss prevention again. And what did I do? I went and worked for IKEA for 16 months until I caught the entire staff, the entire management team stealing. And the store manager hiding a pedophile with 3 third-degree child pornography felonies, hiding him working in the store that operates a daycare where we're taking custody. I wasn't having it. I was at that point. I'm like, what am I doing? 20 years. I'm done. Time to do something else. And that was till I was 39. Excuse me. I started in law school when I was 19. All because of a decision I made at 13 years old to be a cop. And I decided, this is the next best thing. I made a decision at 13 years old that affected me till I was 39 years old. And everybody I brought into my life thereafter was an effect of being raised by narcissists. Because I was comfortable around just more and more, just bringing in more of the same. And we all do it. We all work a lot of us work in industries, and I know you work in areas that is just chock full of narcissists. And we sit there because it's comfortable. And we think we deserve the abuse when you don't. You should just stand up for yourself or leave. It's easier said than done in this economy trying to find a job, but the alternative is you're surrounded by narcissists. It's not you. Okay? When you're raised by narcissists, you're gonna be fighting off narcissism for the rest of your life, because that's what you're attracted to. Nobody comes out and says, hold up a sign and says, I'm a narcissist. When you meet, it's all great. They don't know. It's like how a pedophile preps their victim child. They don't just come out, pedophile doesn't come out and touch. No, it's always prep, and it's always what they want to hear. It's not you. And I know that was the subject of another video. Like I said before, be careful who you bring into your life. Be extra careful who you bring into your life, because you're susceptible to bring in the narcissist. And don't ever let yourself think that, how could everybody else be crazy? It must be me. It's not. It's not you. It's everybody else. You got to break the cycle, and that's the key. However you got to do it. My answer is go no contact. Whatever your answer is, break the cycle. Recognize the narcissists in your life, whether it's in your family, your friends, or who you work with. If it's there, you got to cut it out, because it's a cancer, and it's not going to go away, and it's not going to get better on its own. Okay, everybody. Well, that's all I have on this subject. So, thank you again for watching. There's a couple videos today. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for your comments, and we'll keep the discussion going. Thanks again. Bye.